Hello, my name is Martin Cowan. I'm a retired lawyer. While I helped thousands of people with their legal issues during my 40 years as a lawyer, I did not much enjoy being a lawyer. Too stressful. I have learned that my calling is teaching. I love to teach. My father, who was a lawyer, combined being a university professor with being a lawyer by teaching at various law schools. In 1998, I created a group called the Fellowship of Reason. One of our great interests in the Fellowship of Reason is continuing adult education. We study philosophy, literature, history, religion, and the arts. Recently, I have become intensely interested in economics. In the year before the creation of this course, I read a number of economic tomes, such as Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations, Ludwig von Mises' Human Action, Ludwig von Mises' Socialism, F.A. Hayek's Road to Serfdom, and Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson. Some of these books I've read more than once. While the books are relatively easy to understand, my complaint is that all are highly polemical. That is, more of half of the text is taken up refuting bad ideas. A high school student being exposed to economics for the first time should learn only straight-up economics and not a host of faulty theories. I have found that almost no one has been trained in basic economics. Even the few geniuses that I know nothing of basic economics. I do not believe that the failure to teach economics is a mere oversight. Knowledge of economics enables citizens to understand, criticize, and oppose most governmental programs that are assumed to be well-intentioned by the voters. Government schools, creatures of and dependent upon bad government programs, have no incentive to teach young people basic economics. In order to overcome the lack of training in basic economics, I have decided to create a course in basic economics. I intend to teach this course live to my son's high school, a private school, starting in the fall of 2017. This video is lesson 1, and we will learn about the Luddites. I have broken this first lecture up into 3 segments, and they're on 3 separate videos, which run about 10 minutes each. The Luddites were skilled workers in England who, from 1811 to 1813, destroyed cotton and woolen machines because they feared the loss of their jobs to those machines and the lesser skilled workers who would operate those machines. The word Luddite has entered the English language and means generally a person who is opposed to progress and technology. Because the circumstances of the Luddites tell the story of a core issue of basic economics, we begin our course here. Let us place the Luddites in history and culture. The King of England during the time of the Luddites was King George III. He was the King of Great Britain from 1760 until his death in 1820. We will recall that King George III was the king during America's Revolutionary War, which began on July the 4th, 1776, with the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The War of 1812 occurred during the time of the Luddites. The British thought of this war as a part of the Napoleonic Wars. A major cause of the War of 1812 was trade restrictions relating to the Napoleonic Wars. One battle of the War of 1812 occurred in Baltimore, Maryland, and that battle inspired Francis Scott Key to compose the Star-Spangled Banner. The 1812 overture by Tchaikovsky was written to commemorate Russia's defense of Napoleon's invading armies. The first performance in America was in 1891 at the dedication of Carnegie Hall, and the work was conducted by the composer himself, Tchaikovsky. In France, on July the 14th, 1789, the French Revolution began with the storming of the Bastille. This is about 22 years prior to our Luddite period. The French Terror, which lasted from 1793 to 1794, was known for the execution by guillotine of almost 17,000, quote, enemies of the revolution, close quote, and another 25,000 summary executions across France. Thugs called Jacobins, the original leftists, named after their meeting place on the Rue Saint-Jacques in Paris, led the terror. Some years after the end of the terror, Napoleon Bonaparte engineered a coup over the French Republic. Napoleon Bonaparte became the first consul of the Republic. In 1804, he became emperor. Napoleon was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo in present-day Belgium on June the 18th, 1815, just after the end of our Luddite period. The Duke of Wellington led the British Army at Waterloo. Founding Father James Madison was President of the United States from 1809 to 1817, which completely brackets the Luddite period of our interest. In the arts, the famous British painter Jmw Turner was flourishing during the period of our interest. His work, Fisherman at Sea, was exhibited in 1796. Composer Mozart died 20 years prior to the beginning of our Luddite period. The period of the Luddites exists within a larger period called the Industrial Revolution, which is dated between 1760 and 1840. During this period, manufacturing transitioned from hand production to machine production. Improvements of water power, the use of steam power, and the rise of the factory system characterized this period. The Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain, and many important innovations were by the British. The famous economic tome, Wealth of Nations, by Adam Smith, was published in 1776. In the next section, we'll talk about the Luddites. Please tune in. Thanks.